Hey, it's your guy Tyrell back with the interviews. In today's video, we're going to briefly analyze how Arsenal exposed Bielsa's man-marking pressing. When we break down the game and we do look at the board, we have Arsenal in a 4-2-3-1 and Leeds starting the game in a 4-1-4-1. So first, we're going to break down how both sides look to press without possession, and then we're going to break down how Arsenal were able to bypass Leeds' press to kill off the game within the opening 50 minutes. So first, we'll start with Arsenal's pressing, and like I said, they did start the game in a 4-2-3-1, and they did a very good job of ensuring that Leeds couldn't create any chances. What we ended up seeing was that we had Aubameyang stepping into the path of Ayling. Saka left Alioski and looked to push forward to press Cooper. Smith Rowe stuck to Shackleton. In the midfield, the battle was set. It was 3v3 with Odegaard stepping to Struijk, Xhaka pushing to Dallas, and Ceballos pushing to Klich. That leaves Alioski free towards the left touchline, and Arteta simply had Bellerin push forward to the Leeds left back and David Luiz stepping towards Harrison. We did see some variations as to how Arsenal did look to go about their pressing. For example, here's a time where you had Aubameyang leaving Ayling to close down Meslier, with Saka ahead of Cooper and Bellerin prepared to push forward to close down Alioski when the Leeds keeper clipped the ball towards the left back. Here you could see Arsenal's press with Struijk shifting towards the right of Ayling to form a back three, but Odegaard steps to Ayling, Aubameyang holds his position ahead of Struijk, and Ceballos pushes forward to Klich when he receives the ball. And then we could look to another example of Struijk stepping between the center backs as an attempt to receive the ball away from pressure, but Odegaard steps forward to ensure Leeds couldn't build from the back. And in the build-up to Arsenal's second goal, we witnessed Saka leaving Cooper to apply pressure on Meslier, as Odegaard stepped towards Struijk and Aubameyang pushed to Ayling. Saka's pressure forces Meslier to overtouch the ball, and it results in the Leeds keeper committing a foul that awarded Arsenal a penalty Aubameyang converted. However, when we shift to Leeds, there was no real surprise in their overall approach. Bielsa stuck to the man-marking press that has been effective for Leeds at times during the season, and they had Bamford stepping towards the center backs, Raphinha and Harrison pushing towards Bellerin and Cedric. The midfield battle was identical with Dallas and Klich stepping to Xhaka and Ceballos and Struijk on Odegaard, and then Shackleton and Alioski pushing towards Saka and Smith Rowe, with Ayling focusing on Aubameyang. That leaves Cooper as the spare man, but the issue that Leeds encountered here was that Gabriel and David Luiz were able to push forward to play penetrative passes as center backs. What you saw from Arsenal was that they had the fullbacks pushing higher up the pitch to peg back Raphinha and Harrison, and then they maximized the passing ability of Gabriel and David Luiz by having both center backs carry the ball forward, and because they have a 2v1 in that zone, it meant that one Arsenal center back was free to build attacks from deeper positions. When you look at Arsenal's front four, you witnessed on several occasions Smith Rowe, Saka, Odegaard, and Aubameyang checking into the ball to pull Leeds defenders into deeper positions, and then you would see teammates running into space in behind those defenders. The other issue that Leeds encountered here was that as the Arsenal center backs push forward, you would see a Leeds shuttler stepping in towards their path, and then that left an Arsenal midfielder free. So for example, if Gabriel pushes forward on the ball and Dallas steps out into his path, that leaves Xhaka free, and with Smith Rowe checking in for possession, if Gabriel plays the ball to Smith Rowe, he could simply drop it towards Xhaka, and then that leaves space for Aubameyang to break into. Bielsa wanted Bamford to track back to close down the spare man in midfield, but that often didn't work. An option that Bielsa should have considered here would be to have Bamford stepping to David Luiz, Dallas pushing towards Gabriel on the ball, and although that does leave Xhaka free, you simply have Struijk push forward to close down the Arsenal central midfielder, and then have Cooper pushing in towards Odegaard to ensure that all Arsenal players are marked out of the game. With Bielsa reluctant to stray away from his man-marking pressing, if Arteta simply pushed those spare center backs forward, It simply pulled Leeds' shuttlers out of position, and all it took was quick combination play for Arsenal to get themselves into good positions. In the opening 30 seconds, you witness Gabriel holding off Bamford's pressure to split Rafinha and Dallas for Aubameyang checking into the ball to drag away Ayling. Aubameyang does well to turn across the center back and forces him to retreat into his position as the Arsenal striker slides the ball across Alioski into the right channel for Saka. Saka carries the ball towards the Leeds penalty area with Smith Rowe, Aubameyang, and Odegaard in the box, but he loses his 1v1 duel with the Leeds left back. In the build-up to Arsenal's opener, Gabriel carries the ball beyond Bamford and splits Klich and Rafinha for Smith Rowe checking towards the ball to drag away Shackleton. As you can see here, Klich does step away from Xhaka to apply pressure on the ball, and what we end up seeing is Smith Rowe's movement creates space for Aubameyang to dart into with his run across Ayling. When Smith Rowe receives Gabriel's pass ahead of Shackleton, he plays a first-time ball to an unmarked Xhaka due to Klich's pressure on Gabriel, and then Xhaka ends up playing a first-time ball in towards the left channel. And from that breakdown, Xhaka's pass places Aubameyang in his favored 1v1 position ahead of Ayling, where he's able to cut onto his right foot to put Arsenal ahead. Shortly after that, you witness David Luiz stepping forward towards the halfway line, which forces Dallas to leave Ceballos, and that's where you see Bamford attempting to cover for his teammate by leaving Gabriel to track back and close down the Arsenal midfielder. David Luiz ends up playing a forward pass into Odegaard checking into the ball to pull out Struijk, and Odegaard ends up flicking David Luiz's pass first time around Struijk for an unmarked Ceballos to break freely into Leeds' half. If we stick with David Luiz, here you could see him carrying the ball into Leeds' third beyond Bamford's pressure towards Cooper and Alioski, and this results in David Luiz brushing aside Bamford to slide the ball to Saka ahead of Alioski in right half space, while the Arsenal center back runs beyond Cooper. Saka ends up poking the ball beyond Alioski for David Luiz, making a run towards the byline, where he has Aubameyang holding his position ahead of Ayling, who begins to drop in towards the 6-yard box. But while David Luiz places Aubameyang in a legitimate goal-scoring position, the Arsenal striker's first-time effort on goal was blocked by the Leeds center-back. Here you could see David Luiz stepping towards half with Klich shifting away from Xhaka to apply pressure while Dallas drops off Ceballos to cover for his midfield partner. Saka receives David Luiz's pass and instantly plays the ball across Alioski into Odegaard, who shifted to the right channel to drag away Struijk. But what we see from Odegaard here is that he took two Leeds players out of the game with a first-time pass that splits Alioski and Struijk to Saka that sets him free on goal with a run towards Cooper, and that resulted in the penalty that VAR disallowed. And if we look to one final example, it's David Luiz carrying the ball with Bamford attempting to track back to apply pressure, and the center back splits Rafinha and Dallas, who was initially stepping to Ceballos, who dropped into the back line, for Aubameyang. You can also see Saka checking into the ball to drag out Alioski, and Odegaard charged into space behind the Leeds left back to drag away Struijk. Aubameyang drags out Ayling when he receives David Luiz's splitting pass, and that's where you see Saka making a lateral run across Alioski to receive the ball. Saka receives Aubameyang's layoff and takes a touch beyond Ayling into Leeds' half, and it was this combination that placed Arsenal in the position to score their fourth. So as you could see, Arteta's center backs played a key role in the result here, as they were able to bypass Bielsa's pressing by having them push forward, pull out the shuttlers, and then play quick penetrative passes to the attacking quartet, who then drop the ball off to the spare midfielder. Hi everybody, thanks for watching, and subscribe here for your latest tactical analysis and daily commentary on the interview show. And if that wasn't enough, don't forget you could find more organic, unfiltered soccer/football analysis on the Interviews podcast, the best soccer/football podcast in the world, available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and any Android apps on your Android devices.